back. We are so glad that you're here. I'm Elizabeth Prann. This is Raising America on the Hill. For the past week, we have sat down with lawmakers and educators, and most importantly, parents, because they're seeing these new cell phone bans popping up all over the country. More than 30 states are doing it in some capacity. We just sat down with Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She's been working on a pilot program for well over a year and now just signed the Bell to Bell No Cell Act. She told us the federal government should be doing what the state of Arkansas is already doing. Listen here. My first question basically is, this is a pilot program that you already had, the Bell to Bell No Cell Act. Tell me a little bit about the success that you saw over the past year and why you said it's not up for discussion, we're doing it.
Well, both from a perspective as a governor, but also as a mom, I'm living the challenges in real time of what we're seeing social media and smartphones do to our kids. For so long, we have watched the trend lines go in the wrong direction when it comes to anxiety, depression, suicide rates, lack of attention and focus in our classrooms, just basic communication between kids. All of these things are declining. And so we had to look and see what are the things that are impacting this and how can we step in and help. One of the biggest factors that every piece of data point will tell you is that smartphones and social media access are causing these trends to go in the wrong direction. And so we wanted to show proof of concept. We wanted to raise more awareness, get more parents, more principals, more teachers, more superintendents engaged. So we started with the pilot program and offered to pay for the cost of the pouches or the lockers or whatever the school decided they would use to put phones away during the classroom. But we didn't just take the phones away. What we also did was partner with the University of Arkansas so we could track data to show the impact that it was having. That was some advice that we got from Jonathan Haidt, who wrote The Anxious Generation, and was really one of the leaders in raising awareness on this topic. He said, don't just remove the phones, show the impact that it has. We did that. We were able to track data and show that it was unbelievable the difference it was making. 51% drop in behavioral and student discipline problems, 57% drop in drug usage in the school where we were testing and tracking data, much better scores, attention going up. And so we knew that this was something that was working and we wanted to take it on as broad a scale as possible. And that's when we put forward legislation to go bell to bell, no cell. And we've only been back in school a couple weeks, but I've been to several campuses since school has started back. And not just the teachers, not just the principals, but even some of the students have come up and thanked us because it is changing the dynamic in their classroom. It's changing the dynamic at their school. They're feeling the impact and it's positive all the way around. And so it's something I'm really proud of, something that I know is going to have a long-term impact on our state. And I hope that it's something that every single state across the country will adopt and implement in their classrooms.
Well, I want you to elaborate on that. Initially, I wanted to ask you, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? And it sounded like it was just a myriad of factors, and you brought in some other evidence. But, this sounds like something where advocates for say, why isn't this a federal issue? Why isn't this a federal ban? Or would you advocate, no, I did it in my state. You can do it in yours. This is a state issue.
I would frankly love to see this. It's pretty rare that you're going to find a governor that says we want the federal government to actually take this on. But I think this is one of those things that is so critical, so important that it would be great if they did it on a national level. I'm proud that we're doing it at Arkansas, but I think for the safety and for the sake of our students, this is something that we should implement in every classroom in every school across America.
When we started working on the story, I was sifting through some of the press conferences with Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul, and she said one of the biggest concerns where parents were saying is, I want to be able to contact my child if there's an emergency. I covered Winder. I remember when Columbine happened. You and I are raising kids in a very different generation. So she said that she spoke with law enforcement experts, and they said, you do not want your son or daughter sifting through their backpack to try to find their cell phone and it's pinging. We can go through a number of instances where that's not safe at all. Is this the one time where maybe you would, and maybe you would in other areas, agree with maybe Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul and say, let's all get together. She's right. It's actually not safe for them to have phones in schools.
Absolutely. This is a nonpartisan issue, and you're seeing Democrat governors, Democrat members in Congress that are talking about this issue because I think this crosses every line. And I think she's right. One of the things that we looked at, and what any safety expert will tell you, is what you don't want is the kid not following the instruction and the guidelines that have been implemented in a school when you have a disaster like that, when you have tragedy hit. You want them following protocol, you want them following safety measures, not trying to find their phone, not calling their parents, and maybe taking different direction than what's being pushed by law enforcement that are on the scene. And so all of the safety experts say it's actually much more detrimental for a kid to be on their phone during a moment like that. And it's another reason why it's so important that we continue to move towards our campuses being phone free. One of the things that I love that the CEO of the Yonder Pouch said, and he states a lot, is that we're not taking something away, but we're actually giving kids a phone free education, which will have a significant and play a significant role in their long term future. And that's ultimately what I think we all want to see.
I have two sort of sticky questions for you remaining. When we talk about maybe the possibility of a cell phone ban, simultaneously, we're seeing this administration essentially dismantle the Department of Education. We see that with Secretary McMahon. Is that apples to oranges, or do now more than ever do we need the Department of Education? I'm just pushing you a little bit on that because maybe we want to have a united front, and this is when we need that department. Yes or no?
I don't think we need the department to implement a framework like this. We had Secretary McMahon in the state of Arkansas just within the last week or so. I had the opportunity to spend all day with her. She's working really hard to put herself out of a job because she knows that the more local we can make control for schools, the better off they're going to be. Every conservative in America will tell you that more local control is better. And there's nothing more local than parents making decisions about their kids' education. The more that we can remove the barriers and the insanity that so often comes out of Washington, the better off our states are going to be. We've been implementing common sense practice here, making significant changes, opening up universal school choice in our state, empowering our teachers. That's the kind of common sense policy that we want to see implemented. And we don't need the Department of Education to do that. If they would empower states, because what works in Arkansas may be really different than what's going to work in New York and California and Texas or Nebraska. So we need to empower individual states about what is best when it comes to curriculum and how their kids can be put on a pathway to success. I think the cell phone thing is a totally separate topic and not necessarily about curriculum and the learning piece of it that we're seeing so heavy handed and often come down from the Department of Education at the federal level.
Right. Okay. So before I let you go, I'm watching Karoline Leavitt. I told you I watched you as the press secretary with President Trump years ago, and I see her facing a lot of questions because kids are getting back to school. So we have the gender on the bathroom, and we have reporters not getting recognized when they're with their pronouns on their emails. So I just want to ask you, how do you think she's doing? Right? Because she's facing some of the issues that you did, but it's different. We have a different vantage point now. What's your take on that?
I think that Caroline is an absolute rock star and she is crushing it. I'm so proud to watch her. I'm proud to call her a friend. And I think she's doing a tremendous job on behalf of the president. Donald Trump is moving at record pace. He's getting things done that people have talked about for decades and not been able to accomplish. She has an incredible story to tell, and she's doing a really good job doing that and representing this president and his administration. And I hope she keeps giving it right back to them and takes nothing from any of the people in that room. And I'm really proud of the great work that she's doing.
Well, I appreciate you, Governor. And as I send all my kids back to school, I look forward to the fact that their cell phones stay at home. So grateful for your work.
Thank you.
Thanks.